When I left for that work trip, I assumed it would be just another routine week away. At the airport, I kissed my wife Hannah and promised to call as soon as I landed. I joked about how she would finally have the peaceful weekend she always claimed she needed. She smiled, told me to focus on my meetings, and said she'd keep herself busy. I didn't know those casual words would linger in my mind long after I returned. The flight dragged and the meetings felt endless. Every night I called just to hear her voice. Sometimes she didn't answer, claiming she had fallen asleep. Other times she sounded distant, distracted, as if her mind was elsewhere. I brushed it off. 8 years of marriage had built a foundation of trust. I never imagined I'd question it. Not until that night. It was the last evening before I came home. I tried calling her again. No answer. I sent a message, "Sorry babe. Went out with friends. Talk tomorrow." She never called me babe like that before. Something about it felt forced, casual, in a way that didn't belong. I wanted to believe I was imagining it. When I finally walked through the front door, something felt wrong immediately. The air smelled strongly of her perfume, almost overpowering, as if trying to mask something else. Her shoes weren't by the door. Her purse wasn't on the counter. Just silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. I unpacked slowly, trying to ignore the unease. I checked my phone, still nothing. Around 10 that night, the front door opened. She stepped in, startled. "Oh, you're home early," she said, her voice uneven. I reminded her of my flight, but she laughed nervously and slipped past me into the bedroom. No hug. No warmth. Just avoidance. I didn't need proof to know something had changed. Her gaze avoided mine. Her phone stayed glued to her hand. Her words were clipped, mechanical. Over the next day, I forced a pretense of normalcy, but every detail screamed the truth. A half-finished glass of wine on the table. 2 plates in the sink, even though she claimed she ate alone. And a faint scent of cologne that wasn't mine. By the 3rd day I couldn't hold it in. "Is there something you're not telling me?" I asked. She froze, then laughed, a hollow, shaking sound. "You're imagining things, Mark. Too many movies." But her trembling hands betrayed her. That confirmed everything. I didn't yell. I didn't demand explanations. I simply sat and asked softly, "Do you love him?" Her lips quivered. "It's not like that," she whispered. "That's the cruel part of betrayal. It always feels like nothing." That night, sleep eluded me. The ceiling seemed closer, the air heavier. Memories replayed in jagged fragments. The coffees, the road trips, the whispered promises. I wondered if this had begun long before my trip, if I had already lost her without realizing it. The next morning, instead of heading to work, I drove to a quiet cafe at the edge of town. I needed distance, clarity. Hours passed as I watched life unfold around me, laughter, conversation, ordinary routines, while mine unraveled. Then a message arrived from an unknown number. She said you'd be gone until Sunday. Guess she lied to both of us. My chest tightened. My hands shook. I reread the message until the words settled into cruel clarity. I replied, "Who is this?" No response. Moments later, the typing indicator flickered and vanished. Then another message appeared. "You deserve to know. I'm sorry." Attached was a photo. My wife on our couch, the same couch where we'd laughed, argued, and loved. But she wasn't alone. A man's arm rested on her shoulders. His face partially hidden, but the tattoo gave him away. Dylan. Our friendly neighbor. I didn't move at first. My body felt foreign, detached, as if I were watching a life that wasn't mine. Every small act of neighborly kindness now felt poisoned. When I finally stood, my coffee was cold. I drove aimlessly, past streets that once held comfort, now strange and alien. Red lights gave me time to think, to let the betrayal sink deeper. Returning home that evening, her car was outside. Lights on. I saw her through the window, pacing, phone in hand. Maybe she was waiting for me, or for him. I walked in quietly. She turned, startled. "You're home early again?" she stammered. I set my keys down. "Don't lie," I said quietly. "I know about Dylan." Her face went pale. She sank onto the couch, the same one in the photo. "It just happened," she murmured, as if betrayal were a casual accident. "How long?" I asked. "A few months," she admitted. I laughed, not with humor but disbelief. Those nights she said she was tired, working late, she was with him. I could have exploded, demanded explanations, or raged. Instead, I looked out the window at a world that went on oblivious to the collapse of my own. Then I faced her. "You've made your choice. Know this, once you walk out that door, there's no coming back." Her eyes filled with tears. I felt nothing, No anger, no sorrow, only emptiness. She reached for me. I stepped back. Please, Mark? She whispered. I interrupted. Silence was the only answer. That night, I packed a small bag and left, not knowing where I was going but certain I couldn't stay. I checked into a motel on the outskirts and stared at the ceiling until dawn, wondering how my world had fallen apart so quickly. The next morning, I scrolled through my phone, deleting dozens of messages from her without reading. One final message from the unknown number. For what it's worth, she still loves you. But love means different things to different people. I didn't reply. This wasn't love. Not in secret, not in betrayal, not like this. I drove to my brother's house 2 towns over and told him everything. He listened quietly. Then he said something that struck deep. Maybe this is the night you finally came home, to yourself. For the first time in years, I felt he was right. Sometimes the worst night of your life doesn't end your story. It begins the chapter where you finally stop living someone else's version of your life.